On to Tom Brady now, a free agent for the first time in his career. As many accolades on his resume as rumors about his future. This latest one, that he's demanding $30 million to return to the Patriots. That one seems to be false. We're hearing now that adding weapons is actually a priority for Tom Brady. His teammate, Julian Edelman, tweeting to Brady yesterday, "Baby, come back."
Oh, that's great. That's from a movie from your era, Jenna.
It's my say anything.
Say anything.
I don't want to buy anything bought or sold. I don't want to sell anything. I won't do all the lines.
Thanks.
But I can if I had to. Nick, is the Patriots Super Bowl window still open if Brady takes a hometown discount again?
I don't feel it is. Let's just say he takes the amount of money he took last year. Maybe let's just say he takes $3 million less than he had last year. So you can add a player in the margins. I think 14. No. 14 was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Last year he got a bump up. He got, I think it was $23 million. So let's say he takes $20 million, which is under Joe Flacco. We're talking now in the Case Keenum area. It would be a massive discount for a player of his stature, even if it's about on par with a player of his ability at age 43. And the Patriots were not a good team against good teams last year. And next year, they don't have the scheduling god touching them on the head with the 32nd ranked schedule. Next year, instead of the NFC East, the worst division, one of the worst divisions in NFL history last season, they get the NFC West, what we think is one of the better divisions in football. Now, I know that's projecting, but San Francisco's not going anywhere. Seattle's still got Russell Wilson. I know some people are higher on the Rams than me, and the Cardinals seem to have a quarterback. I think the NFC West is the most complete division. So they swap out the East for the West. They once again have a first-place schedule, of course. So they play Baltimore and Houston to go along with everyone in the AFC West, Kansas City most notably. Where are you going to make up the ground where you were dominated by Baltimore, dominated by Houston, beat by Kansas City, beat by Tennessee, escaped twice against Buffalo, and escaped against Philly? Those are your games against playoff teams. So with or without a league average quarterback at a discount, do I think they're contenders? No, I think the Patriots, they're not in rebuild mode, but I do think they are in retooling mode next year around figuring out what their offense can do, what their offensive line is going to look like since the departure of Dante Scarnecchia, and what it is on the offensive side of the ball they do great. I think that's what they're going to be figuring out next season.
I don't forget how good the Patriots were midway through the season when they had AB and they had Josh Gordon. I mean, this is a team, when they have weapons, Tom Brady is able to be the Tom Brady that he was in the past. So I think that this seems more consistent with his whole career path in terms of how he approaches the economy of the game, where he takes less money to make sure that his team is complete. So this seems more consistent with what he is. But I think $30 million is a pay cut in terms of what he could ask for if he wanted to make every last dollar he probably could.
The Chargers might pay him more for put his name on the marquee. And so he might be not maximizing his full value financially by staying with New England.
One of the hardest things as a coach, especially after you've had a successful season, is explaining to your players and getting them to understand that you don't get to start where you left off the previous season.
Very true.
And you have to start over. And when you've been successful, you've got to do all the things that made you successful, but you've got to do it better because everybody's chasing you. And there's this thing that I've said over and over again. You go into a season with who you think you are, and then you realize who you need to be, and the good teams are able to make that adjustment. Now, the one thing that New England has done consistently is start over. And they've been able to look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and try to fill those voids, and do that through a combination of free agency and the draft. And for people to doubt their ability to do that after year in and year out of having success, and to place Tom Brady in the category of quarterbacks, you're placing him.
That was just, no, Coach, that was salary. I wasn't saying he's Flacco and Keenum. I'm saying that's what those guys make.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
Okay, well, look, $30 million is good value for him for a lot of reasons. I would probably take $2 to $5 million of that and try to go get Dante to come back out of retirement. I think that could be the money that's well spent, no matter what you're going to spend on all the other guys. But he does have Josh McDaniels back, and there is an ability organizationally to recalibrate, to reload, and to fix the mistakes that you've made and to fill those gaps that other organizations have not shown the ability to do.
It just has the feeling, and their defense played great by all standards. Forget who they played last year. Their defense was a top-ranked defense. But that on offense, all they seem to have, or all we seem to talk about, is Tom Brady, however you think he's ready or capable of playing going into this year, and Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. How much, I don't remember a season where they're going into, I know you say they're going to recalibrate, they're going to start fresh, and they always find a way to make it work. It seems like they have more holes on offense going into this coming season than they have in years past.
They don't have a great quarterback anymore. They have a quarterback who's the greatest ever, who's no longer great. The last time the Patriots won a playoff game without a great quarterback was the 0-1 Super Bowl against the Rams. Brady was great starting in 03. Look at the numbers. Starting in 03. 02, they missed the playoffs. He actually led the league in touchdown passes in 02, by the way, but you guys missed the playoffs. And by 03, he might not have been league MVP great, but he was one of the 6 or 7 best quarterbacks in football already. In 2008, they didn't have a great quarterback. They had a fine quarterback, and despite having all those weapons, they missed the playoffs with Matt Castle. Last year, they did not have a great quarterback, and despite the soft schedule and the great defense, they don't win a playoff game.
What do you think Tom Brady isn't doing great anymore? Well, what decline in his skill set do you see? As you watch his game, what do you see that he's not doing great? Well, what's changed?
Coach, I don't mean to do this to you, but how about everything? How about let's just show it as best as we can what Tom Brady's last 4 years have looked like. Coach, you're in the market. You buying that stock? That's completion percentage, yards per game, yards per pass, and passer rating over the last 4 years.
I was just listening to someone talk about stock and saying that you should buy it when people are most pessimistic.
Right.
When they're most optimistic, because that's where you have a chance to become really wealthy.
Absolutely. And I tried that once with Blockbuster.
I'm buying
and then they delisted.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's fine. But the answer is every single quarterback indicator, it's like this over the last 4 years.
But
now, it started at a very high place.
But when you look at it, think about the amount of times he was pressured this year. Think about the amount of times he was quickly pressured. Think about the inability for them to run the ball effectively, the injuries that they had, whether it was at left tackle, center, fullback, transitioning at tight end. There was a volume of things that changed dramatically, but yet they still went 12-4. They still won the division, and they still were a significant threat going into the playoffs.
I mean, you act like this team is not, they didn't almost have the #1 seed. This is a team that's played a lot of football, and the fact that, Tom Brady didn't look at his greatest in the last game, I think it's more a function of the team and how they, I think they're still haven't got over the fact that Gronkowski left unexpectedly. So I think that this is a team that, just like Coach says, they can retool and they find a way to reinvent themselves. They're more honest with themselves than any other team when they're approaching the offseason. So I would not count this team out, and I would not count out Tom Brady.
Can they still win, getting back to our original question, do you think they could still win a Super Bowl the way they're constructed now if Tom Brady returns? A Super Bowl.
Halfway through the year, everybody was saying, myself included, that they were going to win the Super Bowl again. So I think that just because the season tailed out towards the end because of some injuries and because of, losing Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown not being there, being available, I think those two things were major factors in why, they weren't able to stretch the field. They weren't able to run their offense the way that they had planned on when they acquired these two talented young receivers.
And look at the 49ers. And I love this. They went from coaching the Senior Bowl to coaching the Super Bowl. So the idea of being able to go from a underachieving team to a Super Bowl team, it happens. It happens more often than we give it credit. So to go from 12-4 to winning the Super Bowl, yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable jump.
4-5 in their final 9. Their wins over playoff teams came against the Bills in one-score games and the Eagles.
This is the guy who bought Blockbuster.
Okay, well,
Nick's not convinced.
Take whatever you want from that.